Hi there. So we're back here, just wrapping up for the first day at the IFC conference in Mexico, and it's nice to have the sun. Isn't it glorious? 27 degrees, even probably a little bit more than that. This conference is supposedly about changing education systems, and it has a few words in it: rethink, redesign, reimagine, or that type of a theme. It's hard to find it in some of the discussions going on. You have an issue here that you have an issue across education all around the world, is that there's huge incumbents in education and they don't want the system to change. And there's a huge bias towards selectivity, is to allow a certain group of people to become educated and make sure that a lot of other people don't. And that's a system that works for the people who have the power of capital today, but it really is not a system that we can put up with going on long term. But also then we just had people going on talking about, even the IFC guy starting off yesterday morning, I thought it was remarkable. He said that there was 200 million people in college doing college degrees this year, and by 2030 that's going to be up to 380. But 380 million people in college is when there's 8 billion people in the world and only 8% of people have degrees at the moment. It's just too slow, and here you have the IFC saying that. So no, there has to be faster systems. And then they took on board, for instance, in the keynote they had the President Michael Crow of ASU, who was talking about how they are leading the pack in terms of their 40,000 graduates this year. But 40,000 went on and on about how this is changing and making it accessible to everyone. What he didn't say, which we just looked at Google afterwards, is that the average cost of going to ASU is $31,000 a year. So how does that affect people all around the world who don't have access to education? They talked a lot about Mexico, but 25% of kids coming out of college go to in Mexico go to 25% going up from high school go to college. It's just not high enough. I think the world record is pretty much in Ireland, actually. It's nearly 60%, which possibly is too high. But then you have a system in Africa where there's only 10%. So you cannot have the same education systems. You have to use completely new systems. And I'll be talking later today, which will be a bit of fun. And I'll just be saying that the people that will be in charge of education in 10 to 15 years' time, they're not in the room. And that most of the people in the room will be redundant and they'll go off and do something else. Because sometimes innovation can happen really, really quickly. The one example I really go back to all of the time is basically the innovation of the car. In 1900, the car had just been invented, and 5% of Americans traveled around in cars, and 95% used horses. By 1920, 95% of people used cars, and only 5% used horses. That's the sort of change that we need, and if that can happen 100 years ago, how more quickly can it happen now? So I guess listening to different people and talking to different people, I'm not impressed with the radical nature, the requirement to be radical here. There's very few radical thoughts here. Some people have said to me they heard the same thing 5 years ago, and the only thing new in the conversation is AI. And AI does change things, and I'll talk about that later. But unfortunately, if you're looking for the education industry to be led by NGOs like the IFC to really change radically, it's just not happening. Good people there, maybe the likes of input from people like myself can help, but we need far more radical approach to education to give everyone equal access around the world. And the price is huge because we're going to have inequality and disruption in the world if we do not provide equal access to people in the years ahead. So I hope that doesn't sound too angry, but it's why we're here. We're trying to talk to people, and I guess the success of Alison, we had 2.2 million graduates last year and many more this year. We're not the answer to everything, but give us time and we could be a very serious answer to the global need. So tune in later and I'll tell you what the reaction to my talk later on, and see if I've come across anything new, and hopefully I'll have a more positive spin for you. Talk to you later.